Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's BooLin Sports here, bringing you my third and final 2020 mock draft for this draft that is actually happening in 2 days, and I know a lot of people are excited about this draft, especially with the unsureness of how the Zoom calls and everything will work out and how this will ultimately play out. It's very hard to tell for scouts from what I'm hearing who's exactly going to go where, and I'm hearing from a lot of GMs that the scouts, and not the scouts, but the analysts are way off with their predictions for who's going where. So that's just where the shakeup and the dynamic and the diversity of what players are going to go where is kind of a question mark. But we're going to hop into this mock draft. I hope you guys stick around for this video because at the end I have a very huge surprise and basically just trying to give back to my community and trying to help support other charities and businesses, which you guys will eventually vote on. But like I said, I will go into more detail with that. Here is our mock draft. So at number 1, the Cincinnati Bengals, they're not going to trade it away. They're going to get their quarterback for the future. They franchise tagged AJ Green just so because Joe Burrow told them if they draft him, he wants AJ Green there. Number 2, Redskins are getting calls, but they said they're going to need an offer they can't pass up. They're going to go Chase Young here, and they're going to have Ryan Kerrigan isn't getting any younger, and they're going to have someone opposite of Montez Sweat to get after the quarterback. So I think Chase Young could be one of the best edge rushers, and he could probably put on the same performance like his previous draftees like Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa. At number 3, I actually have my first trade because I don't have the NFL Draft Network premium. I can't do the trades, but I'll include it here. So at number 3, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars actually trading up here to select Tua Tagovailoa, and the Lions receive Yannick Ngakoue, who is in a contract dispute over there. He says he doesn't want to sign a long-term extension, and he is on the franchise tag. You also got to look at the Lions cap right now. They still have $30 million to work with, so they can still get a big-name player like this, pay him, and still be able to pay their other players on the rookie deals. So I think this is a win-win for both sides. Jaguars get their quarterback in the future with Tua, and the Lions get another pass rusher to add to the rotation in Yannick Ngakoue, and they move back a few picks to win who I think will either be a Derek Brown or a Jeff Okudah. At number 4 here, notice how I didn't say the Lions falling back in landing Isaiah Simmons because I have him going to the Giants here at number 4. I don't think the Giants trade back. I don't think they get help for Daniel Jones up front. I don't think they find a Nate Solder replacement. I think they just help out that putrid defense and get a day 1 starter, someone that can run, cover a lot of area at that linebacker spot, and he is going to be a playmaker for their future. And at number 5 here, Joe Burrow is off the board. Tua Tagovailoa is off the board. It falls perfectly for the Dolphins, who are actually higher on Justin Herbert. And a lot of people are saying he's the number 2 quarterback in a lot of people's minds, a lot of GMs and franchises, and he falls right to the Dolphins and goes to the perfect system. Tank for Tua was the original plan that everyone thought. Then Joe Burrow came out and had a phenomenal year. But I just think the Dolphins like Herbert more, and I'm not sure if he'll be the day 1 starter with Ryan Fitzpatrick still there, but he'll have a great mentor to learn from. Chargers, all top 3 quarterbacks are gone, therefore they got to help out who they have right now, and I have them selecting at number 6 Tristan Wirfs, who in my opinion is the best offensive lineman in this draft right now. He has that versatility where he can play guard or tackle. I feel like this team still needs a left tackle with trading away Russell Okung, and then they brought in Brian Bulaga to fill that right tackle spot. Therefore, Wirfs is going to be the selection here at 6, and the new-looking Chargers, by the way, have probably my favorite uniform out right now, especially that dark it's black or navy color rush uniforms. They just the powdered blue, the navy, and all the other colors for this new look LA Chargers team. I love it. At number 7, I have the Carolina Panthers taking Derek Brown. Here's a position where they could take a guy like Jeff Okudah, but I don't think if Jeff Okudah is off the board at this point that they'll want to take a guy like CJ Henderson. And they're in a division where they have now Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Matt Ryan, all veterans throwing to their receivers, so they need to upgrade their secondary. But here I think they just beef up their front. They had a porous run game. Their pick here originally, Isaiah Simmons, is off the boards. They got to have someone that can be that day one impact and disrupt the run, and that's where I think Derek Brown will help out this Matt Rule defense. At number 8 here, I do have another trade. I have Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming up and selecting Jedrick Wills, who will play right tackle, and he will replace DeMar Dotson in Tampa Bay. And what the Cardinals are getting in return is a first, third, and a sixth. This is a sticky situation, especially since the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did just get Rob Gronkowski over from the Patriots for like a fourth. But I believe that O.J. Howard is going to get traded later in this draft, and you guys will see that later on in the video. But I think they give up a first, third, and sixth and just get that protection for Tom Brady for these next 2 years. And then next year they'll probably take their quarterback of the future. At number 9, the Detroit Lions are now here after that trade with Jacksonville Jaguars, and Jeff Okudah is still on the board, and he is going to be their pick. I think if they stay at 3 or move back to 5 or 6 or anywhere in the top 10, they're going to get their guy in Jeff Okudah. It's between him and Derek Brown, and I think they just need to get a replacement for Darius Slay. You did add Desmond Trufant and the guy from the Jets. I can't remember his name right now, but those aren't long-term solutions. A lot of the corners are in their upper 20s, late 30s. You need to get a younger talent there. Awario will still play, and I could see him getting more snaps because of this selection, actually. It just gives him other guys to compete with, and I hope it's not a Tease Tabor situation where we get a very good and talented player and then he just never sees the field with Awario. But I think Okudah will be that number 1 corner, and he'll stop the likes or slow down the likes of Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen, and basically Allen Robinson, who have torched us in the previous years when Darius Slay is not on the field. Number 10, I do have another trade here. I have the Denver Broncos trading up from 15 to select Jerry Jeudy, who they are very high on. They need another receiver outside of Courtland Sutton, and Drew Lock needs some more weapons. They did not have another receiver above 300 yards on that team, and that's excluding like their tight ends like Noah Fant or their backfield. But a true wide receiver, they had Courtland Sutton, and that's it. So trading up here, getting Jerry Jeudy, and they are actually going to give Browns a starting offensive lineman who will, it depends on where he'll play, but they're going to send over Garrett Bolles in their first-round pick. With this, I have the Browns now solidifying their offensive line. Maybe they could get an upgrade at right guard or get younger at the left guard or center positions, but with this trade, they literally move back a few spots, and I've seen the Browns do it a lot where they move back in the draft and get another player, and this is exactly what they do. So the Broncos get the receiver of the future, the Browns add some bulk to their offensive line, and basically don't have to waste I wouldn't say waste, but use a top 10 pick on an offensive lineman. At number 11 here, I have the Jets taking who was supposed to be the number 1 offensive lineman. They get a big body in Andrew Thomas, and he's going to start at left tackle there. They spent a lot of money this offseason upgrading their offensive line, and people could say they could go wide receiver here with CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs still up on the board. And I could see that happening, but in all honesty, I think they just keep beefing up this offensive line. And since they know they're going to keep Le'Veon Bell probably, just because of his contract situation, they might as well help him out and do the best they can and keep Sam Darnold upright and comfortable, and then they can get weapons in this deep wide receiver class. At number 12, with Las Vegas Raiders, I have them getting their the second receiver going off the board, and it's between CeeDee Lamb and Henry Ruggs. But when you look at their receivers, they have Tyrell Williams, who I see more as a possession guy, Hunter Renfrow as the slot. They need that guy that will take the edge off. Zay Jones, they were hoping to get that with his speed, but he didn't produce like they would like. So he could be a fourth receiver on that depth chart or be a possible late preseason cut. But I have them getting Henry Ruggs to take the top off. I don't have them going a quarterback at this pick. Depending on where they stand at 19, a quarterback could fall to them, and in my mock, I actually do have a quarterback going to them, but I guess we'll have to see who that is. They obviously fixed the glaring need in their linebacking core, bringing in Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski, so who I wanted to go with originally at 19, it's just not an option in either linebacker, whether it was Patrick Queen or the guy from Oklahoma. So at 13 here, 49ers, they thought they were going to get a big-name receiver after trading away DeForest Buckner, and they're going to end up getting one. It's probably not the one they wanted in Henry Ruggs, seeing they're trying to get rid of Marquise Goodwin with his contract, but I think CeeDee Lamb, once again, will be a day one starter. It will be him, Deebo Samuel, and probably Kendrick Bourne. So that is a very odd situation for both former second-round pick Dante Pettis and then veteran Marquise Goodwin. I think they ultimately keep Goodwin over Pettis and try to trade him for a late fifth or sixth round pick. Number 14 here, it is now the Arizona Cardinals pick, and I have them getting an offensive lineman in Mekhi Becton. Name of the game here is protect Kyler Murray. Basically, you would have liked to get CeeDee Lamb, reunited him with one of his former favorite targets, but I think you just helped that offensive line out. You brought back DJ Humphries, so I'd move Becton to right tackle, and have him just solidify that porous offensive line and help out the running game and pass game with Kenyon Drake, and especially on those swing passes. Becton's a big guy, but he can move, and we've seen that in his tape a lot, and that's what's helping him in the draft. He does have some marijuana reports or drug reports, but with the new law passed by the NFLPA, it doesn't really matter anymore, and I don't think that's ultimately going to hurt him in the long run, and he ends up being an Arizona Cardinal. At 15, we have the Browns here. Even though the Browns did bring in Carl Joseph and Andrew Sendejo, I think they get they get a guy that will be a day one starter as well. Sendejo's more of a special teams guy, and he's a good depth chart guy, but he's not a starter, and I think they get that in McKinney. Like I said, they didn't have to get an offensive lineman this early now, and they still have a mid to high second round pick there where they could get a guy like Urza Cleveland, in my belief. I think he'll still be there for them. I think it's at 44 they pick again, 43, right around that range. But Xavier McKinney, like I said, D1 starter. He can lay the hammer, and he can be someone in that secondary to help with Carl Joseph, Denzel Ward, and Greedy Williams. At number 16, the Falcons are in a weird spot here. They could go corner. They could go interior defensive lineman with Javon Kinlaw. They could go a lot of places with this pick. I could see them trading back, getting a linebacker, but honestly, I think they stay here, just help out that edge rush. They lost Vic Beasley. That obviously didn't pan out. He went and signed a one-year deal with the Titans. I'm going to give them Clavon Chason. out of LSU. I think this player, he's very young. I want to say he's only 20 or 21. And hopefully he can just be a presence there that gets after this, like I said, the stacked quarterback room with Brady, Breeze, and now Bridgewater. Just provide some pressure and cause some disrupt in that area. And obviously they do need a cornerback, but I think they'll get a cornerback later in this draft. At number 17, I have a huge trade here. The Dallas Cowboys completely trade out of the first round, and they get a guy who is not exactly happy with his situation with the Jets in Jamal Adams. The Cowboys get Jamal Adams for a 5th and this pick right here. Jamal Adams is now a Cowboy, and the Jets with this pick here take C.J. Henderson. They brought back Brian Poole on a 1-year deal. They finally cut ties with Trumaine Johnson. Therefore, I don't really know anyone of that secondary that stands out to me. There's Marcus May, but once you trade away a player like Jamal Adams, you're going to have to help out that secondary, and I think this is a win-win for both teams. The Jets are in a sticky situation with his contract. They keep saying they want to pay him, but does he ultimately want to be there long-term? I think you get a player in C.J. Henderson, who I've heard rumors could go top 10, but I have him slip into 17 here and falling to the New York Jets. At number 18, we have the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to take an offensive lineman to protect their quarterback. This is kind of high for Josh Jones, for my opinion. I see him as a later first-round pick, but he's still a very good player coming out of Houston. He did very well in the passing game and even in the running game. It's hard to tell at this point, but I feel like they'll fall in love with this dude. He'll help out that porous offensive line and then protect Justin Herbert on the right side. They will probably have to find a left tackle, though. And number 19, this is where I have the Raiders taking their quarterback. They get Jordan Love. I don't see anyone above this taking Jordan Love. Maybe the Chargers. The Chargers could be one of the only teams I see, or if a team like the Saints or Patriots happens to fall in love and is scared either Jacksonville or the Raiders could take him. This is a situation where one of those two teams could trade up. But I think the Patriots and the Saints sit at 23 and 24 and let Jordan Love go to the Oakland Raiders. They did just bring in Marcus Mariota on a cheap 2-year deal. Derek Carr, I want to say, still has 2 years left on his contract. But the rumors have been going around that they don't think Derek Carr is the guy there in Las Vegas. He doesn't seem like a Vegas guy. And when was the last time a big arm quarterback ended up being a bad pick? Jordan Love has an absolute cannon. If you look at the previous drafts, Patrick Mahomes, probably the best quarterback out of that class. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen have the strongest arms. Look how they're ending up. So I'm going to have Oakland Raiders getting Jordan Love, and they'll probably later trade Derek Carr to a team, possibly the New England Patriots, or somewhere where he could be a backup, like maybe the Saints. I don't know what they're going to do with Derek Carr, but I have Jordan Love being the selection here at 19. And at 20 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, another one of my favorite players in this draft is Javon Kinlaw. He is an animal. I could see him if the Broncos aren't ending up making a trade up to 10 and getting one of the premier receivers, him being the selection there. But they lost Marcel Darius, they lost Malik Jackson, they lost Calais Campbell. That defensive line is broken up, basically, and they need to get back to Saxonville, and they need to get a young player in Kinlaw to create that disrupt again. 21, I'm going to have to go with the fan vote here. Justin Jefferson. Eagles obviously need another receiver. We're unsure about Alshon Jeffrey, if he's going to stay for another year, or if he's going to be trade target, trade bait. We don't know what he's going to be. Out of the wide receivers here, I could see them taking a guy like Denzel Mims. It is very likely. But I'm just going to stick with the fan vote here. go with Justin Jefferson and help out that receiving core. They fixed their secondary this offseason, re-signing a couple players and bringing in Darius Slay over from the Lions. You know, Eagles look like they could make another playoff run. At number 22 with the Vikings here, I have them going with Christian Fulton. I originally had them getting Trayvon Diggs, but I don't know how that would settle after you just traded away. I can't remember if Trayvon Diggs is his brother or his cousin, but they did just trade away Stephon Diggs. What if he has the same attitude towards the city where he complains about that he wants out, then the next week he says how he loves it? I'm just going to go for a guy that will be a day one starter, obviously, with their weak secondary. And I think it's I think Mackenzie Alexander and Holton Hill are their starting cornerbacks. So they need a number one corner. I think Christian Fulton could be that guy in the future. I don't know if he'll be that day one, but he'll be someone to hopefully control the big time receivers like Kenny Galladay, Devontae Adams, and Allen Robinson. At 23 here, New England Patriots, they don't get a quarterback. You guys are worried about the Patriots. They just traded away Gronk for a fourth. I mean, they traded away Gronk and a seventh for a fourth in return. Obviously, Gronk didn't want to be there. He was going to come out of retirement only if he could play with Brady. I heard Edelman's probably on the move. Patriots are in full rebuild mode. I kind of feel like they didn't bring back a lot of players. Where is this guy? Did he really drop that much? AJ Epinenza. A lot of mocks are having him falling out of the first round. But I feel like he's one of those Bill Belichick players. I feel like this pick could either be a receiver in Denzel Mims. It could be another guy like Gross Matos. Or because they don't really need cornerback help. And I wouldn't be shocked if they went with a guy like Grant Delpit here. So there's a lot of options that the Patriots could go with. But I have them getting an edge rusher and just basically being confident in the quarterback room they have, whether it's Hoyer, Stidham, or if they're able to get a guy like Derek Carr or sign Cam Newton along the way. At 24 here with the Saints, I have them getting a linebacker. Their middle linebacker room is poor. I have them getting Patrick Queen out of LSU to help out the likes of the veteran Demario Davis, and then they have Alex Anzalone, and I'm pretty sure Kiko Alonso is their starting middle linebacker, so they obviously need to get younger there, and Patrick Queen would be the perfect to returning this team to the playoffs. At 25, we had the Vikings taking Christian Fulton earlier in the draft, and now they sit here, and it's between Ayuk or Denzel Mims here. And I originally had them getting Ayuk. I don't know where Brandon Ayuk out of Arizona State to play the slot, but I see Adam Thielen being more of that slot player in this team. I'm going to have them actually taking Denzel Mims. This is going to be a late game change, and I didn't originally have Denzel Mims going in the first round, but at the end of the day, I feel like this is the better selection for the Vikings. They need to replace Stephon Diggs, and they only have one true receiver on the team currently. Why not get another weapon for Cousins, and hopefully Dalvin Cook's contract situation gets figured out. At number 26 here, we have the Miami Dolphins, Grant Delpit. He's one of those players that we could see falling out of the first round because he does have questions with finishing tackles and one-on-one situations, but he is a player last year who was a guaranteed first-round pick. He decided to go back to school, and this is one of the situations where you're going off what his production was over the years besides of the concerns he had last season. You did get rid of Rashad Jones, the long-term veteran there. Just beef up that secondary. You added Byron Jones. You have Xavier Howard. Get Grant Delpit, solidify that secondary, and with the 3 Dolphins picks right now, they look like they're ready to take that next step and improve off of last year's poorest season. At number 27, Seattle Seahawks could go edge, but I think they're going to hopefully see development from LJ Collier. I think Jadeveon Clowney comes back to this team. I still believe that Russell Wilson wants him back. A lot of players want him back in that locker room. So I'm not going to give them any edge presence. I'm actually going to add to that secondary, and I'm going to have them take... Where is he? I'm going to have them take Trayvon Diggs out of Alabama. He was 59th overall on this list. I believe he'll still probably go first round, if not early second round. He's a very good player. He's one of my top corners. I actually like him better than CJ Henderson, who I had going earlier. But, you know, I think he's probably around the 6'1 range, if I'm correct. 6'2. So he's a tall-bodied cornerback, and he's going to shut down the likes of hopefully Henry Ruggs, who was just drafted in the rounds. There's also guys like Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Larry Fitzgerald, and DeAndre Hopkins in this division now, so they need to beef up that secondary. At 28, I have Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma going here. Baltimore Ravens, they beefed up that defensive line. They added Derek Wolfe after Michael Brockers fell through. They traded for Calais Campbell. They let Michael Pierce go, but I'm pretty sure they filled his spot at D-tackle, if I remember correctly. I just can't remember who, but they need help on their linebacking core. They have Matthew Judon on the franchise tag, who I could see getting traded, but after seeing how poor their linebacking core is, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they just need to keep building on this defense. They have a great secondary. Have them go make another playoff run. And we have the surprising team here making it all the way to 29, the Tennessee Titans, with that late-game playoff run. And I'm going to have them taking Zach Bond. You let Cam Wake go, and you let, what's his name, go to the Broncos for Jarrell Casey, go to the Broncos for a 7th-round pick. You need another edge defender. You got Vic Beasley on that one-year deal. Why not bring in another pressure guy who can be opposite of Harold Landry or Vic Beasley, depending on where they feel like these players would be most effective. At number 30, I have the Green Bay Packers. I have them taking receiver here. They could be in the makings for Brandon Ayuk just because, I mean, how their receivers are built. They're above 6'4" with Devin Funches, Aquinas St. Brown, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and I'm not sure how tall Devontae Adams is. I don't think he's 6'4", though, but he could be up there. So they're just building a basketball team out there, but they need to get a speedster in Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor, I want to say, is 5'9". Well, he's 5'11", but they do need someone to patrol that slot, and I think Reagor would be the right pick for this system, and it would help out Aaron Rodgers in adding another weapon. That tight end will get probably figured out in the second round or via trade, unless they feel confident in Jace Sternberger stepping up. So we're here at pick 31, and I actually have one of the 2 remaining trades that I have going down in this mock draft. With this pick, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving up and trading for the San Francisco 49ers here. The 49ers want more draft picks because after this pick, they don't have another pick till I want to say the 5th round it was. And that's just a tough situation to be in, that you have to sit there and wait. And I saw the draft room for the 49ers, and it's honestly an insane setup. So I think they're ready to make moves and get better and return to the playoffs again. And this time ensure they're not falling short. So they're going to get more picks. It's between either Gross Matos, Marlon Davison, or where did he go? Or Ross Blacklock out of TCU. And I originally had Ross Blacklock here, but I just think Gross Matos is a better pick. for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. Beef up that defensive front again. You're in a win now mode, bringing in Brady, Gronk, re-signing JPP, getting Shaq Barrett back, and then you got Ndamukong Suh back on a 1-year deal. The reason I wanted to go with a player on the defensive front is just because William Golston is probably not going to be a starter there, and they just need to keep up with that pass rush, getting sacks, getting production out of their defense to keep their offense in games. Brady will obviously make this team a potential playoff team just by bringing him back, and a big reason they didn't make the playoffs last year is Winston's turnovers. That defense was phenomenal. Keep building on it and add Gross Matos here. And in return, the 49ers are going to get a few picks here. They're going to actually lose Matt Brieda in this trade as well. So now Tom Brady's going to have another weapon to pass in the passing game with Brieda, and also a great running back to pair with Ronald Jones. And Brieda, I heard, is the odd man out here. They do have, hopefully, Jerick McKinnon coming back. There's Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman. So in this trade, I end up having Tampa Bay gaining Brieda and that first-round pick, and then I have the Chiefs gaining a second, a sixth, and here's where O.J. Howard comes into play. San Francisco's looking for a tight end to back up George Kittle. You got a receiver earlier. I've heard there's interest in Evan Ingram. Why not just get O.J. Howard? There's no need for him in Tampa anymore. I think they keep Cam Brate over him, who actually had more production as the backup. Let's make this move. Tampa, San Francisco, this is a win-win for both of you. And at 32, for my final mock here in the first round, I do not have a running back going. I actually have the Jags not done. They traded up and they got all these draft picks for their players, like these late 4th, 5th, 6th rounders for all these players that they traded to get Cap. Earlier, I had them taking a quarterback, and then I had them taking a defensive lineman. They now need help in that secondary. I have them taking Jeff Glandy to finish out this draft. With this pick, they basically try to replace the productions of Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Bouye. Try to find that number 1 cornerback. And the Jacksonville Jaguars take Jeff Gladney here out of TCU. I have 3 TCU players going. And in return, the Chiefs get Leonard Fournette, a 3rd, and a 4th. Once again, they didn't have to give up that much. In my opinion, the Jags, they have all these draft picks. They might as well use them. Fournette is a possible trade candidate. I have the Jags getting a running back later, whether it be Clyde Edwards-Helaire or possibly a name like DeAndre Swift. Ultimately, I think Fournette's out of Jacksonville. Chiefs would love to have a 1-2 punch with him, and would love to have a 1-2 punch with Fournette and Damian Williams there. But I'd like to thank you all for watching. Once again, I hope you all enjoyed this video of my final mock draft, and here's my big announcement for what I will be doing on draft day during this 2020 NFL draft. Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's BooLin Sports here, and here's my huge announcement. So for every draft pick I get right in that mock draft, I will be donating $5. And for every draft day trade I get correct, I will be donating $25. Your guys, as the viewers, is to decide what charity I will be donating these funds to. It could be anywhere. If I get all 32 draft picks right, $160. And plus, if I don't feel like I'm donating enough to a certain foundation or charity, I will donate more money. But I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please leave a comment down below saying what charity you want me to donate to.